Formula One, the pinnacle of motorsport, has witnessed thrilling battles and remarkable achievements throughout its storied history. However, amidst the glory, there has been moments of heart-stopping disaster that have forever etched their mark on the sport. From terrifying collisions to heart-wrenching incidents, this video delves into some of the most disastrous crashes that have shaken the world of Formula One. Roland Grosjean. In the 2018 Bahrain Grand Prix, Roland Grosjean had a scary crash during the opening lap. He hit a metal barrier at a very high speed of 140 miles per hour, following a collision with AlphaTauri's Daniil Kvyat. The French driver scrambled to get out of his burning wreckage for almost half a minute before leaping to safety. Despite the force of the impact registering at 53 Gs, Grosjean escaped with just minor burns to his hands. The driver credited the Halo, a safety device in Formula One introduced in 2018, for saving his life. But it turns out this crash was nothing compared to Nikki Lauda's crash at the 1976 German Grand Prix. Nikki Lauda. During his racing days, Nikki experienced a devastating crash during the 1976 German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. The bad weather and wet track caused him to lose control of his Ferrari at the dangerous Bergwerk corner. His car burst into flames, and he suffered severe burns to his head and hands while inhaling hot fumes that damaged his lungs. Despite being given his last rites in the hospital, he miraculously survived. Before the race, Nikki, the fastest driver on the circuit, expressed displeasure with the track and urged fellow drivers to abandon the race. But unfortunately, they outvoted him and the race proceeded. But this is nothing compared to the crash experienced by Anthoine Hubert at the Belgian Grand Prix, which claimed the life of the Formula 2 driver. Anthoine Hubert was competing in the Formula 2 race a day before the F1 Grand Prix and representing the British team Ardern when he was involved in a fatal incident. Driver Giuliano Alessi had already crashed at the Radulon curve due to a punctured tire on the second lap of the F2 race at the 2019 Belgian Grand Prix at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, but Hubert was unsighted and clipped one of the slowing cars. He hit the barrier and was then struck by Juan Manuel Correa, who drove into the area near Hubert's cockpit at approximately 130 to 160 miles per hour. The impact broke both of Hubert's and Correa's cars. Both drivers were swiftly taken to the circuit's medical area, but Hubert was declared dead some minutes later. But sadly, that's not all. Jackie Stewart. In another harrowing incident at the same corner, Formula One racing legend Jackie Stewart faced a life-threatening situation at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps in 1966. He ran off the track while driving 165 miles per hour in heavy rain and proceeded to crash into a telephone pole and a shed before driving into a farmer's outbuilding. A ruptured fuel tank filled the cockpit with fuel and could have ignited at the tiniest spark with Stewart trapped inside. He was extracted from what could easily have been a fatal crash, having suffered broken ribs and shoulder and rib injuries. Following this terrifying experience, Stewart became a leading advocate for driver safety, spearheading multiple campaigns to improve safety measures. Meanwhile, Stewart initially viewed seat belts as unnecessary and uncomfortable, but his perspective changed after witnessing how these safety measures saved numerous drivers from tragic accidents. When he entered F1, the sport was horrendously dangerous. He's quoted as saying in Forbes, "There were no seatbelts worn, the medical care was pathetic, and there was no firefighting equipment to speak of." While this crash helped to increase the importance of safety measures in Formula One, another crash drove a wedge in the already strained relationship among teammates. Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo crashed.
But he's going to try and dive down. And suddenly they have crashed. They've gone into each other.
During the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a contentious crash between Red Bull teammates Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo resulted in both of their cars colliding on the long straight. Verstappen defended aggressively, while Ricciardo attacked with determination, leading to a double did not finish DNF outcome. After the race, Ricciardo expressed frustration, feeling that Max Verstappen's maneuvers annoyed him, and he was disappointed that the team didn't step in to address the situation. The incident strained the relationship, and Riccardo eventually decided to leave the Milton Keynes-based team. Team boss Christian Horner believed that Riccardo was trying to avoid further conflicts with his teammate, who seemed ready to escalate tensions. Verstappen went on to achieve significant success, becoming a two-time champion, and it appears he's on track to secure more championships. Riccardo later returned to Red Bull, but as a reserve driver for his former teammate. But it's not only Red Bull that experienced such conflict among their teammates. Mercedes wasn't left out. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Despite winning both Constructors and Drivers' Championships at the Spanish Grand Prix in 2016, things got deeply personal between Mercedes drivers Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Their tense relationship reached its height when they collided on the opening lap of the Spanish Grand Prix, causing significant damage. The crash not only fractured their friendship, which had roots in their childhood, but also led Mercedes to consider the possibility of sacking both drivers. It's interesting to note that the pair were once close friends, but the incident had a lasting negative impact on their relationship. Lewis Hamilton even expressed his reluctance to continue racing for Mercedes, and Nikki Lauda stressed that the intense competition between the drivers had pushed them to the limit, ultimately resulting in the crash. But this crash is manageable compared to one of Formula One's most iconic fire outbreaks involving Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen. Jos Verstappen, what should have been a normal pit stop for Benetton driver Jos Verstappen, turned into a near disaster when petrol sprayed out of the refueling hose and ignited a still hot car. During the 1994 Hockenheim race, Jos headed to the pits after 15 laps, expecting a routine pit stop. However, to his shock, fuel sprayed out of the fueling hose and ignited his hot car, leading to a massive disaster. Jos and his car were engulfed in flames, but the surroundings turned dark and suffocating. Despite this terrifying incident, pit stop refueling continued in F1 until 2010. However, due to several more incidents caused by refueling, it was eventually banned for good. Jules Bianchi. Jules Bianchi passed away after a tragic accident at the Japanese Grand Prix in 2014. The race was hosted during days when Typhoon Fanfo affected the track, causing heavy winds and rainfall during the Grand Prix. The race was started behind a safety car that drove ahead of the race for the first 2 laps, before the session was red flagged due to heavy rain. The race eventually went ahead, but the track was still wet from the heavy rainfall. On lap 43, further rain on the track caused Adrian Sutil in the Sauber to lose control of the rear of his car, and he hit a wall going into turn 7. As the accident had taken place right next to a marshal's post, the race director chose not to bring out the safety car and instead opted for double-waved yellow flags as the car was recovered. Bianchi then lost control of his car, crashing into the recovery vehicle. Following the collision, the driver suffered a diffuse axonal injury, which is where the brain's long connecting nerve fibers tear and occurs when the brain is injured as it shifts and rotates inside the skull. Bianchi spent 9 months in a coma before he passed away. Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna. Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna are also other F1 drivers who didn't survive their crashes. In 1944, during the San Marino GP, Roland Ratzenberger, an Austrian driver with limited F1 experience, crashed during qualifying at a staggering speed of 195.7 miles per hour, resulting in his loss of life. Ayrton Senna, one of the greatest F1 drivers in history, was deeply affected by Ratzenberger's passing and considered not racing. Despite his grief, Senna chose to compete, but on lap 7, he tragically lost control of his vehicle and collided with an exposed concrete barrier at around 192 miles per hour. The consequence of this incident led to significant safety improvements in F1, such as mandatory tire barriers and secured barriers with rubber belts, and the adoption of wheel tethers to minimize dangerous detachments and crashes and enhanced testing methods. These changes aim to prioritize the safety of F1 drivers. Even though F1 has come a long way in regards to safety, one still cannot ignore the dangers these drivers put themselves in once they get into an F1 car. Let's hear your opinion in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to our channel and swipe to the next video for more F1 content.